right, welcome back to another episode of the Unqualified for Space podcast. My name is Michael, and today as my guest, I have Mr. Zac Shaul. He is one of the main founders of the Space Intelligence Group on Facebook. How you doing today, Zac? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Michael, I'm doing pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain right now, at least.
Yeah, could be a lot worse, right?
That's for sure. Yeah, we got kind of lucky with my job and, the way we are currently that it's not really affecting us too much, but most people can't say the same, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's I work in healthcare as well, so I've been fortunate to still be working.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus. A lot of people are not doing too well right now, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll get out of this soon enough and be moving forward.
Yeah.
But I like to start off every episode of this podcast with a question as to, so why space? Like, why do you even care about it at all?
I guess it's a hard question and a simple question. I love exploration. I have my photography name company is Zac Shaul Adventures. I love scuba diving, space flight, all that kind of stuff. As a kid, my dad, he's a scientist, marine biologist. But growing up in South Florida, he would like wake us up in the middle of the night to go see the rocket launches and the shuttle and stuff, and he makes fun of me because I used to hate it, right? We'd be, a little kid up at 3 a.m, like, oh, and now it's just, I love it, just the fact of like going and exploring, possibly being the first person to ever be somewhere new, like all the Mars hype right now, It's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of do somewhat similar to my kids, not 3 a.m, but if it's like, 22:30 or 10:30, if you're not 24-hour time, I'll run them outside and be like, oh, there's a SpaceX launch or, ULA or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, he was at the very first shuttle launch at the press site. He had a friend that worked, I think it was for CBS or something. And from that moment, he was hooked. He watched all the, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo live on TV. So he's just always loved it. I guess passed it along.
Hey, that's not a bad thing to pass along, right? could be much worse activities to be having your kids involved in. So you're a photographer. You do a lot of like launch photography and space photography. Out of all the types of photography, like why that? Was it just your interest in space that led to it, or?
Yeah. Again, my dad, he's an underwater photographer, being a marine biologist. So I always grew up like around cameras, around pictures and stuff. It was really only a couple of years ago I picked up a camera. I used to make like videos, and I always thought that was cool to be like different than him, but I realized you could reach a lot more people and you could like get a message across a lot simpler because people, they have no choice if there's a picture right in front of them, whereas like to click and watch like a 5-10 minute video. So a few years ago I picked up a camera and then it just kind of was like, yeah, why not do rocket launches as well? It was, I think 2016 I went and you can buy the extra ticket to Kennedy Space Center to get up close, and from that moment on I was like, this is my passion,
Yeah, once you're hooked when it comes to launches. There's no getting away from it.
Oh yeah.
So how to date would you be able to kind of estimate how many launches you've been at?
What, last year there was 21, I think
so, yeah.
So 20, I guess like just in the past, since I've been photographing, I guess like 30, 40. I know the year before there wasn't quite 20 launches, but yeah.
And when you're doing the photography of launches, does it not matter the company who's launching? Are you just a generalist, like I'm into everything space, or like what's your take on that?
I love it all. I truly do. I love certain aspects of SpaceX. I love certain aspects of ULA. I'm excited. A lot of people seem to not like Blue Origin, but I'm really excited to see them launch from the Cape. I just think it's all great.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. I have specifics of each company, maybe one some more than the others that I like follow. Like, I'm heavier probably into SpaceX than anything else, but I'm 100% behind anybody who is actually trying, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, like you, I can't wait till that New Glenn rocket takes off. I mean, that thing's going to be a beast. So
And one day, hopefully, when the SLS gets off the ground, that'll be awesome.
yeah, I'd love to see. I've said this before on a few episodes. I'd love to see SpaceX, ULA, and SLS. All the downfalls that SLS has, but I mean, cost wise. But I'd love to see them all just competing head to head. That would
Yeah.
be that'd be an awesome thing to see. I think.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you've probably gotten this before, but do people ever get on to you as to why you generalize your love of space instead of only going after one company?
Not not so much, like especially when I'm at rocket launches, people, they'll be out there with especially SpaceX merchandise on and their hats and everything.
Yeah,
They'll be like, oh, how could you even want to come to ULA launch? Like the Atlas V isn't anything, yeah, I don't really usually like engage with people. No one's ever like given me a real hard time. I don't ever wear. I have SpaceX shirts. I have ULA shirts. I have a Blue Origin shirt coming since they just opened up their
yeah,
shop today, actually. Um, but I don't ever usually wear anything at the launches like that, just to try to like stay more low key. So I don't
hmm
really get hassled too much for liking everything. On our Facebook group, though, we are constantly moderating and arguing with people that they want to put one company down or the other. And everybody, for the majority of people, it seems like SpaceX is the number one.
yeah. I mean that. I think they're just the most popular based on the amount that they're doing, right? So most people probably only see them as like the only ones that are viable as of that aspect. But if you follow Elon Musk, you're most likely a hardcore SpaceX fan, or if you don't like him, then you might be the opposite. So,
Exactly.
but which is it's kind of unfortunate. Like some like Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut guy on YouTube, he does a lot of great videos trying to get people to be moderate in the space realm, and it's unfortunate that there's things against each other in that. But like I said, each one has their ups and downs.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they all basically have the same goal or purpose, just
Mhm.
about like they're all doing it for the right reasons. So, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter like who's doing it as long as we're doing it.
Yeah. Because I mean, like ULA does a lot of the military like NRO missions that are like classified missions. SpaceX has done some, but not to the level of ULA. They've done a lot of other different stuff, so you can't necessarily always compare one to the other.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, yes, SpaceX, their reusability, so they're a little cheaper, but Atlas V has an absolute 100% success rate. So they
Yeah,
all have their ups and downs.
yeah. But like you said about Blue Origin, though, I mean they're real media shy, so we haven't really seen much in the
Yeah,
way of them yet. But I really hope to see something soon.
hmm yeah. I mean, I know they've already. My friend Teresa, who
Mhm.
Spaceflight Insider, she had a little tour of the Blue Origin, what they had built like a month or so ago, um, and how they're already starting production at the Cape. So hopefully it won't be too long.
Yeah, because they're building a whole new huge facility out there for that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna, instead of like how SpaceX ships in the rockets and ULA ships in the rockets, they're just gonna make it start to finish right at the Cape.
I mean, it makes sense, just for economics more than anything else. I mean, if the other ones were to do it, they'd probably be even cheaper than what they are. I mean, ULA is always going to have it in Decatur because
Yeah,
that's where their facility is. They're not going to build a whole new one. But SpaceX, or they were looking at building Starship there, but I think they kind of put that off to the side and just doing Boca in Texas right now.
yeah, it's still the Cocoa Beach facility. I was there a couple weeks ago. I like to drive by just to, nothing's changed, but they still have security, and I still see some people doing something in there. So uh, hopefully that'd be cool. It would be really cool.
Yeah. I was really hoping that they were going to build them simultaneously just to continue that jump between Texas and Florida. But
And
we'll
now
see.
I was just hoping because I don't want to have to go to Texas for the launches.
That brings up a good question. Do you think that the first Starship launch, like full scale, full stack launch will be in Texas or Florida?
I don't know. I A couple months ago, I would have definitely said Florida. They were doing changes to Pad 39A out there to get it ready for Starship. And then since the whole they started shipping parts on the ships from the Cocoa Beach facility, and I haven't seen anything about doing any work for Starship at 39A. But also they've been getting ready for the DM2 launch.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's just kind of getting overshadowed by that or if it's just completely out the window now. So I really don't know.
Yeah, because I had this discussion with a previous guest, and I was thinking maybe for historical reasons they'll do it at Florida. But I
Yeah,
mean that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it that way. But
you, yeah, I mean, you would think, but I guess after they're going to launch Men again, I don't know if they're too worried about like history because that's as historic as it's going to get again.
yeah, finally returning astronauts on U.S. rockets again is definitely the biggest thing in the past decade as far as
Uh,
space is concerned. And what's your stance on that? The astronauts don't think that there's anything historical about this. Do you disagree with that? Do you agree with their sentiment? Or
I mean, I think it's definitely historical. I don't think it's like Apollo level historical, because it is stuff we have all done. But it's
Mhm,
been what 2011 was the last time, so it's definitely like historical in the sense that like it's a very big deal for the U.S.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously they're very mission focused, so they're only going to care about what they need to care about at the time and let everybody else worry about the impact of it. But
Yeah, and I mean they've been up there before, so I feel like they're very humble about it.
yeah, probably wouldn't be an astronaut if you weren't, right? You have to be very comfortable with knowing what you don't know, right? But yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge deal only because we should have never let this happen in the first place, like lapsing one, ability to get to orbit versus another. But
I agree.
political times, things change, viewpoints change, so nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. It's like as American as apple pie. Like we go to space. We fought so hard for it. I know we went first, but like we made darn sure we were like the ones. So I think
Yeah,
to like let it fall was a big deal too.
yeah, and
Unraveled.
you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was it.
Yeah, I was saying I think that it was. I'm trying to think of a better word than a one. I guess it was really not really a huge rush to do it because we've already done it. Feeling. I
Yeah,
don't think there was a whole lot of like, all right, we gotta push, innovate. It was just kind of a, oh, we've done that, what can we do next type thing.
right. I agree. And then I think that's part of with Elon Musk. Let's go to Mars. We've
Mm.
never been. It gives people something to like look forward to and see what we're striving to do. Because then once again, we could plant our flag and say we're the greatest. America, right?
America, yeah, Murica, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really wish that we had followed along what Apollo thought we were going to do. As opinions of Werner von Braun people have, him being Nazi and all that other stuff. He wanted us to be on Mars way before we
yeah.
were. So I mean, there's going back to the 50s, people thought this would already been a done deal. But, so since we brought up that topic, I wanted to ask: do you think shooting for the moon is a downgrade, or do you think that it's a logical next progression to get back to that and then Mars?
To me, I feel like it's a logical progression. I mean, it's been 50 years now since we've been to the moon. So why not make sure we have the abilities to make everything work to go forward there before moving on? But I feel
Mhm.
like I know technology is so much greater now, but it seems like the more technological we get, the more setbacks we also get. There's more things that can go wrong because everything's not as simple as it used to be. So in my mind, it makes sense to go back and why not? We can test things, we can work out things, less gravity, less atmosphere, all that stuff to get ready for the challenges we're gonna face on Mars.
Yeah, because I've talked about it with a lot of people, and a lot of people seem to think that going back to the moon, even with SpaceX and Starship, is like a regression somehow.
Yeah,
And I get the argument, but I also don't really get it because I'm with you. You know, why not go there as long as we're still shooting for Mars at the same time? It's not a well, let's go there first and then we'll see about it.
yeah. I mean, the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. You got to take steps for whatever you're gonna do, and we have it right there. We know we can do it, so we might as well test everything we have. Why not be as good as we can be? Make sure everything is to the top level before we keep moving.
Yeah. I just don't want the focus to be taken off of getting to Mars, you know what I mean, by saying, "Oh yeah, we're back to the moon and that's it." You know what I mean? But
But I don't think I think with the amount of people and like Elon Musk and SpaceX pushing to go to Mars, I don't think that we would be like complacent, like, oh, we did it again.
mhm.
I think that we would keep moving forward this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be awesome to see it in 4K, landing and all that stuff is going to be an amazing sight to see.
I also really want them to go back to the site of Apollo 11 because they shed their spacesuits. They had to push them out. Like their boots and their stuff is still sitting on the lunar surface. And
Mhm.
personally, I would be love to be the guy to go there and take it to put on my shelf. You know what I'm saying? Like this was your arm, boot.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that that is now up for grabs. That someone could literally go take take that for their collection. Just for some reason, it just really like gets me excited.
Yeah, that would be I mean, I couldn't even imagine seeing that, let alone being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna snatch up this boot here and take it home with me." 'Cause I think it's his blueprints are gonna be around for like 150 million years or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, future generations could go to the moon as like a classroom field trip type thing maybe one day and be able to see this.
Maybe they'll like put like the case over all his steps and the lander. The legs that are there.
Mhm.
Like a museum on the moon.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, to think that, future kids would be able to go maybe just and see this as like a normal everyday thing. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely in the realm of possibilities now.
So the news the other day about all the NASA contracts for the landers for Moon, what'd you think about that?
Um, The only thing the thing that keeps sticking out to me is, and of course I probably watched The Martian one too many times, but the fact that SpaceX is going to rely on an elevator system to get to and from the surface scares me.
Mhm.
And I mean I know that they know what they're doing and they are, but like what can go wrong will go wrong, especially space is hard as we've seen and heard many times.
Mhm.
So that part kind of I'm a little shocked by it that that is really their choice. Um, but I would imagine that they would have redundancies and backups. But that was the one thing that really stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they're going to build a lunar version of Starship, instead of just relying on the normal one to save costs. That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, sometimes I feel like he's a little showboaty, so to speak, but also, I mean, he can, right? He's got the money, the resources, the time, the know-how. So it's like, yeah, why not?
A lot of people were drawing comparisons to the was it the Dynetics lander to the Apple TV show that's been
Yeah,
about space. Even was it Garrett Reisman, I believe is his name, the astronaut who's a consultant on the show, shared a photo of it that day as like one kind of looks like the other here. I found
yeah,
that pretty funny.
yeah, it was.
And obviously Blue Origin got the prime contractor slot for the national team, so that was interesting to see how they're going to land people.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if they're going to try and push for all three at once or if it's going to be a staged approach.
Well, they said what? I believe they said like whichever one they deemed to be the safest and most feasible, they were going to go with first, and then use the other two after. I think the article that I read said something like that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Because I caught about 70% of the broadcast while I was, at home teleworking and things, so I couldn't like completely listen to it the entire time. But I thought it was
Yeah,
interesting. It was an interesting presentation.
so I didn't get. I was at work. I didn't get to see any of it. Just as soon as it was over, everyone's online posting. The next day, articles are all up. So that's how I
Yeah,
found out it all.
yeah. They have us kind of like teleworking randomly, so you'll work in the office for a little bit, then telework for a while, and then back and forth. So I was able to kind of catch some of it off and on. But yeah, I was posting stuff about it, and I was writing with people about it online and on Twitter and things. And I spoke about how Blue Origin is going to be the prime contractor for the lander, and people were trying to argue with me, like, no, they're not. And I was like, for the national team, yeah, they are. They are the prime contractor, which means that they're the main one to build it.
Yeah, that's on space intelligence too. They've been getting a lot of thought. They're like, they haven't even made it to orbit yet. How are they gonna, but again, they're not using their ship to get there. So
Yeah, they're gonna hitch a ride on somebody else. So I mean, it's easier to easier quote unquote to build stuff when you're not having to launch it there, versus just land something.
and as far as any of the three companies, only NASA has been to the moon. Only they know exact. I mean, I know that they share
Mhm.
information, but SpaceX has never been to the moon personally. Blue Origin, Dynetics. So it's like, to me, it's like, well, they're just as qualified really as anyone. Like, yeah, they haven't launched a rocket, orbital flight, anyways, but they aren't going to for this to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see the argument maybe like if it was another company and SpaceX arguing about the lander that they're using because they've been to space or they've been to orbit or whatever. But if you're just talking about something that lands on the surface, that's a completely different scenario versus what they're talking about here. So
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's a habitat. It's not just a lander. So you got to think of it in a broader aspect, I guess. But people have strong opinions when it comes to space companies, and
They do. They
as you
do.
know, it gets pretty divisive on there when if you're like a hardcore SpaceX fan, which I mean, I guess I would say I am, but even though I support everybody, you say one thing like that somebody else does well, and people are like, "Oh, well, what about this?" And you're like,
Right.
calm down now. We can't get to space with one person. As much as like I think he's going to be the one to get us there, it can't be just all SpaceX. I mean, it's got to be other people.
There's got to be competition in market. It makes sense.
Yeah, because if that's just what Russia is right now for us. They're the only way there.
Yeah.
If SpaceX was the only company to get there, then they could charge like what Russia does, whatever they want, and you have to pay it.
Yep. And then we're stuck again.
Yeah. So as much as like I said, I'm hardcore like woohoo, like Elon's doing awesome with SpaceX. Like I want to see Blue Origin succeed. I want to see ULA succeed because Rocket Lab out of New Zealand, they're doing
Yeah.
awesome stuff with the small sat launches. So
Yeah, they just rolled it out in Virginia the other day too. I'm excited.
mhm.
I one of the guys in the group started posting about it. And I was like, wait, what? I got to get up there. And they're like, no, 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 the launch isn't until later this year. And I got all nervous for a second.
Yeah, like I was saying, I want to get up there for a Rocket Lab launch to Virginia. Maybe I'll have to drive up to one day. I've watched their stream a lot, and they have like an awesome scenery and geography that they use. But
Yeah. Have you been to like any series launches up
no, I haven't. Only here at the Cape.
there? Nice. There's the last Antares I drove up, I got invited to the NASA social in Huntsville,
Mhm.
and the launch was the day before. So I drove the like 13 hours from here to Virginia. Got there in time to watch the sunrise over the rocket because it's right on the coast, and it was stunning. Of course, the rocket was delayed and delayed and delayed, and then scrubbed that day. So then I had to leave immediately and drive to like 15 hours to Alabama. So I missed the launch. It was the same time as the solar orbiter, so I missed that one. But there's if you ever go, let me know. I'll tell you there's a secret spot that some of the locals told me about, and you're literally less than 2 miles from the launch pad, and it's literally just public land. And it's I mean the rocket is smaller than like a Falcon 9, but it has to be incredible. I mean the pictures I took, just sitting on the pad is awesome.
Yeah, from everything I've seen from there, it seems like exactly what you're saying. It's just beautiful scenery, but I just haven't gotten a chance yet.
Yeah, it's worth it for sure.
How many of the NASA socials have you done so far?
Two now. I did Huntsville, Alabama, and then I did last year as well at Wallops. They did one about their snow impacts mission.
Hmm.
So I've still yet to get to go to one at the Cape, but I was invited to the 45th Space Wing, their first social that was supposed to happen 2 months ago, and then due to the pandemic, it got canceled. But they said we're all guaranteed a spot at the next one, so I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to it.
Yeah, I wanted to try and go to that one if it came up, but I haven't done NASA social yet, but I haven't really had time to apply for one either. So, I'll have to see the next time someone comes up. Maybe I'll be able to get to one.
Well, and like I kept, I've been applying to the the ones in Florida for a long time, for like 2 or 3 years now, and the 45th would have been my first one, but then I was like, man, okay, Virginia is not too far. Let me try that one. Alabama is not too far, and of course I think they like to bring in people like because of course there's tons of people in Florida already covering everything, so I feel like they've been trying to like people from far away that can make it. But it was cool, like to see the Mercury Red Zone test stand and stuff. It was like going around Huntsville. We got to check out their nuclear propulsion laboratory. Like it was wild.
Yeah, definitely a place that I want to check out at some point because I mean, the history there of space is almost, if not more so than the Cape. So,
Yeah, it was cool.
do you ever watch Smart Everyday videos on YouTube?
I watched the one of the ULA laboratory. It's the only one I've ever seen. But yeah,
Yeah, he had another one of because he works in that area, I think at maybe like on the military base there or something,
oh
the
nice.
Redstone Arsenal.
Yeah,
Um, but he did one at one of the museums there, have like the actual Apollo space flight hardware, and
mhm.
they were looking into it and talking about how much computing processing it had and all that.
Yeah.
And what the guy who like runs that museum was standing like a hawk watching him. He's like, "Don't you drop that," or
I bet.
So
The coolest part of the Huntsville trip, they were getting it was the state of NASA day where
mhm.
they were like talking all about SLS and stuff. And so, they've been making all the hardware components for the guidance systems and all that. So, like, they take us into this room and it's half of like the shell of the core of the SLS rocket. And it's, I mean, I don't know, 10, 15 stories tall, the room and the building and the shell of the rocket. And it's like, all the wiring components for the rocket ship are strung up, and they're making sure everything will fit, properly. It's all to scale um, for the first test, and so they're like showing us like whatever, and then the tour guide points over, it's like this, it's like 2 feet by a foot and a half. Yeah, it looks like a little white igloo cooler, and he's like, that's the entire guidance system for the entire like it was the real one that will launch on the first SLS mission, and it was just like, whoa, that's wild.
Especially when you consider Apollo, and they had as tall as me of paperwork that they had to hand write for all
Yeah.
these trajectory calculations. It's just I talked about this on a previous thing too. I like showed my iPhone has more power than the Apollo computer did.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy, isn't it?
to think where we've come from to now and then where we will go is just super exciting.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to ask about your photography thing. I got to see Starlink the other day come over. Yeah. And it's the first time since the launches I've been able to see it here in Florida. They've always been on a different orbit. Um, a lot of people talk about how bright they are, and I will say it's pretty easy to see them right now, but they're working on obviously a new version that is a lot darker. Have you had a conversation or heard a lot of people speak about how it's like ruining photography or any of that?
I mean, I don't hang out with too many like deep space photographers and stuff on the Facebook group. It's the same, people want to argue everything, it seems. So like I will
Yeah.
say, I mean, there's 420 up there right now, but when you add, 1,200, 2,400, I have not seen them live. I'm actually hoping they're going to go by me at like 9:55 tonight. There's a 5 minute window. I was out there the other night when you probably saw them looking.
Hmm.
I'm an hour 15 north of you.
Hmm.
Like I didn't see them, but I'm personally excited to be able to see them since I've been at every single launch and photographed every single launch to actually like see them, at work up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had iPhones don't take the best video out of any like smartphone, but I got like decent video. Obviously, seeing it with your eyes is much better than unless you
Yeah.
got like a good camera, which you probably have a good camera. But I mean, I can see the argument, but I don't hear people speaking about the millions of pieces of space debris that's up there.
Yeah, so like I said, my father's a marine biologist. He repairs coral reefs. That's what his company does. Like, if people want to talk about like ruining their views of space, we should really probably talk more about how we're ruining the environments of the Earth that we live on. To
Yeah,
me, that's
slightly important, right?
if you don't take care of that, you're not going to be able to use your telescope to look into space. So in my opinion, it's kind of like a first world problem that we have. But I can see where, yes, it will affect, especially when there's a lot more of them up there if they don't get their paint right or whatever, where it will affect things. But we also, have giant telescopes up in space already past them that we can use.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's some interesting ideas also from SpaceX of how to deorbit a bunch of this stuff. But I'm 100% with you. Like, if we don't stop ourselves from killing the planet that we're on, then we won't
You know,
we won't have to worry about seeing anything anyway. So I mean, what's the big deal? But
they're sitting there arguing about it as they throw their wrappers on the ground. And I'm not saying everyone's doing that, but that's the kind of like what it makes me think about. Like, there's there. I get it. I understand that that's like your passion or whatever, but there are things that we should probably handle more so than worry about some satellites.
yeah, and they're going to deorbit in less than 5 years. They're built
Right.
in that orbit to deorbit themselves, so it's not going to be like every other thing that's up there and sit there for possibly
Forever.
100 years or forever before it comes down.
Yeah.
But so your dad must have been happy the other day when the Florida Aquarium announced the news of being able to repair the reefs. I don't know if
Oh,
you saw anything about that.
I did not.
Yeah, the Florida Aquarium in Tampa, because I'm from Tampa. I just moved out here for the job I have now. Um, they've been working on coral reef reproduction for a while now, and they announced the other day that they were finally able to do it with a species that they weren't able to before.
Oh, nice.
So
Well,
it's actually going to be able to like fix the reefs in Florida if their ability to scale.
oh, that would be great. Like, not to get sidetracked from space, but like that's as I said, he repairs coral reefs. He like in Florida, you have to get certified to handle coral reef. He literally co-wrote the book to get certified. So like he has helped change the Florida, the United States laws of where ships can anchor in Florida. That
Mhm.
good for business, but his end goal is to save the world. Save the corals. And there's a lot of corals you can take and plant, and they will grow successfully, and you can transplant them and stuff. But the majority of corals you can't, which is the problem. So whatever species that they just found they could do it with, that is still a huge
Yeah,
breakthrough.
yeah, it's going to be, and obviously space has been one of the main reasons we've been able to understand and save what we've been able to save, as long as people don't keep you know destroying shit that they shouldn't be. But
Yeah,
so well, like, what's your take on that? A lot of people think that either space is awesome and it's the best thing off the world, or two, it's why are we spending money on this when we have problems down here? And then there's three people who are in between. Like, what? Where do you lie on that?
I'm definitely in between. I agree that there are problems to solve down here, um, but we'll just take SpaceX. SpaceX wants to be a company that goes to space. That there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Like that's awesome. There are a lot of companies that do a lot of good to save the world, to save the environment. I don't think we necessarily. I know there's some people like, we'll just go to Mars, we'll get that up and running so we can leave Earth. I don't think that's the answer either. What's that show on Amazon where they like people live on Mars, people live at the space station, and then on Earth is kind of like a dump now. The Expanse.
Yeah, The Expanse. Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily think that's the answer either. That we should just give up on the Earth, but I don't see anything wrong with people wanting to go to space. Like if it's your company, you can do what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that it creates waste and burns fuel and stuff, but there's still a lot of companies doing a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm an in between because I also feel that going to space has influenced so many technologies that we wouldn't have otherwise,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
our understanding of certain things that we wouldn't have otherwise. So it's one gives something to the other type thing is what I believe.
yeah, I mean, we wouldn't even have Velcro if it weren't for space. It's
Yeah.
like we don't even think about we've got from space, and like Elon Musk, Teslas, they're all
Hmm.
electric power stuff, which is only helping the planet now. So there's say good for them.
Yeah. It I mean, most people don't even think about memory foam. Say goodbye to your pillow top mattress if we didn't have access to space because it was developed for that. So a lot of people kind of that's just my problem is when people extrapolate these random thoughts of, well, it's either black and white with space, and or it's like, no, it's you pretty much get almost 2-for-1 reimbursement on what you're doing in space research here on Earth.
Exactly. I feel that that's a lot of people. Why are we spending the money? Why are we doing this? And then memory foam, Velcro, so many things. Like, oh, okay, well, do you enjoy those things? Because think of what we could find, what we
Mhm.
could invent, or come up with up there.
Yeah, and I don't think pigeonholing yourself into a certain belief in any belief is a good thing personally, my personal opinion. But if it gets you through the day, then whatever. So one question I do have to ask, because I try not to, but I had this argument with a lot of people randomly, is have you been like hated on by the flat earth people?
Yes, yes.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I have too.
Oh yes, and I know I have been very fortunate in my life. I have literally been around the world both ways from Florida. Um, and I have used that argument against people. Like I have literally made stops, from Florida to California to Hawaii to Asia to Australia, and then from Australia back across Europe to New York to Florida. How could that, and I don't, I don't know
But according to
how.
them, Australia's not a thing, man. That's
Yeah. I one of the few places I've yet to go is Antarctica. I one day will get there. It's my dream to go there. And then I will go exploring to see if there is that giant ice wall that they talk about. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe you can feed the turtle that's holding the earth up or whatever the hell that belief is. But yeah, I've been very fortunate. My military career, I was stationed overseas the whole time.
nice.
So I was in Japan, I was in Middle East, and I've been both ways multiple times. So, but even before that, I mean, never been a thought in my head that the Earth wasn't round. It just, But like I said, if it gets you through the day and it doesn't make you a bad person, then whatever. But
Yeah, and I love it when they call it like a globe or something. And I'm like, the globe by nature is round, right? So like you're arguing yourself doesn't even make sense.
yeah. Oh, but every other planetary body is round, but Earth is
Right.
flat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that thing from Neil Tyson. I think it was like 2 years ago or something, where they said that we have members all around the world, and he shared their Facebook posts
All
saying,
around it.
yeah, like, might have, yeah, but again, it's just beliefs are like, like a nose, everybody's got one. So,
Indeed.
um, I just find it funny when my 10-year-old daughter, has more common sense, but
It's
it's
sometimes the world is beautiful and sometimes the world is really scary, you know.
getting scarier by the day, it seems, depending on your belief system.
That is for sure.
But being as we were talking about launches and stuff, did you get to see the inaugural Falcon Heavy launch?
I did. I've been at every Falcon Heavy launch now, and were you there?
Yeah, I was.
Did you? You know, I spent the $200 to be up close as humanly possible.
Yep.
Were you out at the Apollo 5?
Yeah, I
And
was.
and there, to me, there has still never been anything like that in my life. That's what I'm really excited for the SLS, because if it's like 2 million more pounds thrust than that, or 3 million, whatever it's
Hmm.
supposed to be, I cannot imagine it feeling the what what it's gonna feel like. You know, I just remember like my organs shaking in there, and the ground,
Hmm.
like it was amazing.
Yeah, you could completely feel the reverberation from the sound waves hitting you. And we were actually standing, I forget what part of the landing facility there, but we were right in front of the glass windows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
You
they were
just
like, y'all need to back up a little bit because it might shatter the windows out. We have no idea.
Yeah, I remember that about half hour before the launch, they came out. They said everyone's got to get outside or away, because
Yep.
they're like, okay, this building wasn't there back when we launched things like this, you know.
Yeah, I wonder how that building would fare right now with the shuttle SRBs going off. I mean,
I know, right?
that would be that'd be interesting to see it. But yeah, just like to me, that was I got to see a shuttle launch when I was a kid, and that was like the first launch in person at the Cape again since that time. A ton just be watching them from afar or whatever. But it was
Yeah,
just, but I brought my kids there because it was like a first in history event. So I thought it was just like a magical time. It seems like you feel the same.
it, for sure. It was like I still probably almost every minute of like once I got on the bus out there, you know, they drove us down the shuttle lane runway. It's still like just so fresh in my memory. You know, I still get like goosebumps and
Yeah, me
all
too.
that. Oh,
I still go back randomly and watch it just to remember all that being there.
me too.
But the reason I brought it up is because, like I was saying before, I think personally, everybody's got a different opinion, but I think SpaceX would be the main reason we're pushing humans to space, not necessarily maybe like cargo or research or whatever the case may be. But I think it's the reason why people are so excited about space in the last, decade. Do you feel the same, or do you think other companies are still doing that? Or
No, I totally think like the Kennedy Space Center itself owes a lot to SpaceX. I totally feel the same, that SpaceX has got people back interested in space again and made it like cool again, so to speak.
Mhm.
I think it was cool in the nerdy way, you know. But
Yeah,
I think really like they started selling their own merchandise and their own hats. You know, they kind of like they've got a cool logo, they've got a cool name, they've got it all going for them. And like I mean, since like SpaceX has come around, think of like how much just like new stuff the Kennedy Space Center, even their visitor center, like attractions and stuff. It is. I think it's totally responsible for bringing people back to rockets,
yeah,
to
because
space.
I still remember, like I said, I'll go back and watch it, and it doesn't do it justice on the recording of it showing the people that were out there, because
Uh,
I saw people crying when it was taken off. You
uh,
don't see people crying about going to pick up their new Jeep, or whatever. Yeah.
that was the one thing I wished I had. I was filming and taking pictures. I wish I had a camera facing behind me. I was down way on the, the all the like past the Rocket Garden out there now,
Hmm.
or it's not the Rocket Garden, whatever they call it now with the Apollo 11 Memorial. All the bleachers. I was down there, like that's what they generally make all the. They used to make all the photographers go. Now it's all roped off, but and you could just like look down at all the thousands of people. I just wish I had a camera like facing, recording everyone's reaction as well. I just at one point it was high up, and I was just like looking around, and everyone's like people had dropped to their knees, or people are just standing there with their hands up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool to be able to say like, yeah, we were there.
Yeah, it was definitely like I said, it was a history event, and I think 100 years from now, people will look back at that as the modern day like space race kickoff.
Yeah, for sure.
And because I mean, there's probably, what do you think, 10,000 people out there just on that side of the Kennedy Space Center.
For the Apollo 5 Center, the 4,000 is the max. So there was 4,000 out there. And then they said there was like 150,000 like person influx into Titusville itself. There was, I guess, 50,000 people on the AMAX Brewer Bridge itself. They shut it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's insane.
Yeah, because I know it took us 2.5 hours to get home.
I think it took me about 2 hours to get on the bus to get back.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of got lucky because we obviously, like, as you know, it took most of the day because it kept getting technical pushes and things like that. But then as soon as it went off, and then as soon as we saw them actually land, we were like on the bus out because
See, that's what I should have done, but I was just busy like standing there enjoying, and then I waited a very long time
because we had our kids with us, so at that point they were kind of over it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a magical event, and I'd be willing to do it 100% all over again. So.
Oh yeah.
I will say that the food out there could have been a better situation, but hey, that's.
I don't remember what they even had that day, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like amenities, it maybe would have been better to stay on the regular, Space Center side. But it was cool to be as close as you could be. Why not, right?
And, they didn't feel it like we felt it, or heard it like we heard it. Out there.
Yeah, when you were looking at from the bleachers, Bill Nye and some other people were out there speaking. I was on the left-hand side of that.
Yeah, cool. So I was on the right.
Yeah, I was like right by the water there, just filming it, basically. So.
Yeah.
But another question I'd like to, since you're a photographer and you do a lot of, you say you used to do videos and stuff, are there any space movies that just make you like want to gouge your eyes out when you watch them?
I mean, some of the ones that I probably don't even know the name, like the cheaper old sci-fi ones. I don't really have too many that I like absolutely hate. What was this last one with Brad Pitt? Like, I thought it was great.
Ad Astra.
Yeah, the cinematography. Oh gosh, now I can't even speak. But like the visual imaging and all that was absolutely stunning. I felt like it definitely could have used a stronger plot and a better ending. But like just the visual imaging of it was just absolutely amazing. I mean, I love The Martian. Movie I could watch 100 times. Just the whole his funny wit about being stranded the whole time. Interstellar was a little strange, I guess. That was one of the last big ones too. What was the one with Sandra Bullock, George Clooney? That one was
Gravity.
Gravity. That one was decent. Again, more like cinematography. Than like actual big plot. I'm like, hey, we're stuck in space, which actually, I think my heart did get racing a little bit just thinking about it. I've always wanted like you see the pictures of like the men, they step out of the capsules or out of the space shuttle, like, and you can see Earth. Do you feel like you're falling? I want to know what your body feels like, because I don't really like heights as much as I love space. So I've always wanted to know like what your body senses as you step out into space,
Yeah, from what I've understood from astronaut interviews is they feel like they're going to fall.
Yeah.
That at least some of them have said that. So I don't know if that's what everybody would feel, I guess, but
yeah, it's something, if I could experience for myself, I would take that offer,
Oh, 100%. If NASA or somebody was like, hey, be at the Cape in 2 hours and tomorrow you could launch, I'd be like, oh, see ya, family. I'm out,
That's like my ultimate photography dream. Like one of these companies, even like Virgin Galactic, that's going to start taking, like hey, we need a good photographer to like, take some pictures, write an article. Like that's my like ultimate end game. Like yeah, I'm your man. Let's do it.
I've always had the dream of wanting to go to space, so if somebody offered it to me, I'd take it 100%,
Yeah,
no
me too.
hesitation whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, there's like Interstellar is one of my favorite movies just because um, I like the physics and the science of it. But
Yeah,
as you said, Gravity was great cinematography, iffy, science. Ad Astra is the same thing. But yeah, there's a few that just like when you see certain things like on Gravity, every time she opens one of the hatches, it almost like blows her out of it or
yeah,
whatever, and you're like, all right, come on, that wouldn't happen every time. It doesn't happen on the space station because they depressurize it, but you know,
and Ad Astra, which it was cool seeing the moon pirates are chasing them in
yeah.
their little lunar rovers. And, like it's amazing, and it goes over the crater, but it's like there would be no sound. You would.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's no oxygen to combust something to make it shoot out unless you're doing some crazy like laser thing or whatever. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that whole scene, as cool as it was looking, it's obviously not very realistic, but
yeah.
good job for making space pirates.
Exactly right.
Yeah, why not,
It,
right?
it's happy May 4th, by the way. May the 4th
Oh
be
yeah,
with you. Yeah,
also with you.
of course, that's always great.
That's there's some people who hate on Star Wars, big Star Wars fan, but
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. Some of the like the newer movies, I love the like second generation movies. They were all right, but love the Disney Plus. Was it The Mandalorian? I
yeah.
cannot wait for all the side sequels and stuff to come out. Definitely looking forward to that.
And how can you argue with Baby Yoda? I mean, that's just. Are you human if you don't like Baby Yoda? I don't get it.
Exactly.
My wife wants me to get a 3D printer so I can make her a Baby Yoda.
That would be cool.
I was like, well, I might have to look into that. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, since you're one of the people running this group on Facebook, can you kind of tell us about it?
Yeah, so the name is Space Intelligence. You can get there. Spacetalk101.com will take you like to the. I mean, you have to ask to be a member, but Spacetalk101.com will take you straight to it from Facebook or just Internet Explorer, whatever you use. We started it just pure love of space. I think the majority of us, like the group members, are probably more SpaceX than anyone else, but we do our absolute best to give unbiased information just about all things space. We have there's me here in Florida, another main guy's in California, the other guy's in Vienna, the other guy's in London. The other guy that does our graphics and stuff is in India. So we're literally all around the world. So it's literally 24/7 moderated, cared for, the latest news, all the, India rockets, Chinese rockets, Russia, everything. Like you can get on there anytime and find like the absolute newest, greatest stuff. Which is good for me because I've never always focused so much on like all the other country stuff besides
Hmm.
Russia. So I've learned so much just about like India's space program, China's space program, all that. Excuse me. Um, and it literally started May 2019, and it has just it took a couple months to get a couple thousand members. And like I said earlier, we just passed 20,000 members. This week we've gotten 500 members alone. So it is absolutely taking off, which is just amazing for us. And soon we're going to have a website, hopefully sell some of my pictures, some of our other guys' pictures. We have a guy in Texas at Boca Chica. He's Carlos Nunez on Instagram and stuff, and he does a lot of surf photography and stuff like that. But he's always going down to Boca Chica for us, filming all that stuff, which is so we have people pretty much everywhere, which is just, I mean, it's literally like a space lover's dream.
That sounds like an awesome thing that anyone who's watching this should definitely go check it out. For an unbiased view on everything space is always good.
Yeah, we do our best because there's always trolls, always people wanting to bash one company or the other, and it's pretty cool. I mean, we even have people that work at the Kennedy Space Center there, like people that design rockets and stuff. A couple of SpaceX employees, just literally people that are working on the SLS program right now. Like, so it's cool sometimes. Like people ask questions and stuff, and then we're like, we don't necessarily always know, and then they'll chime in like, hey, I can't say too much or whatever,
Mhm.
but it's basic information. So it's you literally don't even know who's on there sometimes, but you're getting great info.
That sounds pretty awesome, because you're getting it almost from the source rather than speculate, right? So that's definitely a plus to have on that type of forum.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like coming up from you specifically, or from that you're really looking forward to?
I mean, I think the world, May 27th right now. That's the biggest thing. I know there's a ULA launch and hopefully a Starlink launch beforehand, but I think May 27th is what everyone's waiting for right now.
Yeah. So since you brought that up, I got to ask real quick: are you going to be there at the launch, or are we staying home?
I recommend and this is like one of the most common questions I always get. Like, where do you go for launches? Where is the best place?
Mhm.
And of course, there's always the Kennedy Space Center. But I generally, and lately with the whole pandemic, I've been telling everyone, and basically because it's true, unless you have several $1,000s worth of camera equipment, like myself and a lot of people do, you're not going to get nearly as close to anything. The for this launch, the closest you're going to get is the bridge, the AMAX Bro Bridge. It's a little over 11 miles. You need a damn good telephoto lens, camera. Otherwise, you're not really going to see it nearly as well as NASA and SpaceX provides. I mean, they have cameras on the rocket, on the launch pads, everywhere. It's going to be so I would say stay at home. Personally, I've already chartered a boat. We will be right at the exclusion zone offshore, as close as humanly possible. I think around 4 miles away. A couple of my photographer buddies and I were all splitting it to get out there. But I would recommend, unless you're doing something like that, if you can find something like that to take you out, I would, because again, 150,000 people for the Falcon Heavy. I do not even dare to imagine how many people will be here, even with everything going on. On
Mhm.
Facebook, people are like, "Where's the best hotel?" All over the place. I know it would be crazy. But I forget his name, the Brevard County Sheriff already said, like, come on down, it's gonna be great, everything,
Yeah.
like they want, of course, to help the economy, but it's gonna be just bedlam there for sure.
Yeah, which kind of, Jim Bridenstine did a good job, I think, of kind of speaking on his thoughts about it the other day on the presentation. He was like, as much as everyone was looking forward to this, just do your part and stay home, right? Me, luckily, I can see it from our house, not as close as if I was over there, obviously, but so we'll just be watching it from there. As excited as I was to be there, I'm gonna do what's right and just stay home and watch it.
Still, like pulling it up, the live stream up on your phone or TV, and then stepping outside to see it. You were there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally see it from your house. So you were there, and they SpaceX puts on the absolute best show. I feel for rocket launch. The amount of cameras and angles they have is just unrivaled at this time.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's going to be fantastic no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to be a tumultuous event, to be sure. Like Gwen was saying on the thing, she's not going to be relaxed until they get back home. So, you know, I think it's going to go off without a hitch. I think they've practiced and spent so long unnecessarily, maybe at certain times, on getting to this point, but I think it's going to be good to go.
I think they're definitely there. They're ready. But it's gonna. I mean, my biggest fear is, as everybody's, is that it will be delayed because we did spend a lot of money to get a boat to take us out. That it'll be pushed back a day or two, but it's always a risk to take. But I feel like as long as the weather's good and we should know beforehand that it'll go.
Yeah, we are in that kind of early kind of bad weather time right when that's about to go off. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I think we'll definitely know at least like a few days ahead of time.
Yeah, right at the beginning of hurricane season, but
Yeah, what can you do? All right.
you know. What? Yeah, I mean, what got you started into space and all that?
Well, like I said, it was a shuttle launch.
Yeah,
Born and raised here in Florida and Tampa. So at one point, early childhood, my dad took us over there. We didn't get into it. We parked on the side of the road and just watched it go up. But
that's
even
how.
that, yeah, that's most Floridians. You don't go into Kennedy Space Center. You just kind of watch it, right? But ever since then, that just kind of kicked off my just absolute, I'll say, fanaticism about space. Not necessarily just like love, like like fanaticism about wanting to see everything about it. So, and ever since then, I've just been obsessed.
Nice.
I've always had every school I went to was a science-based schooling, more on the medical side because that's what my parents did. So I kind of was raised in that environment. But then I joined the military and did a bunch of stuff overseas and things like that. So, but yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you, what branch were you in? I was gonna ask you earlier when you were talking.
I was in the Navy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did 6 years active duty, and then after I got out, I worked as a private contractor for the government.
Nice. Oh, nice. My brother works at well, not at, but he works. He's a very intelligent person. He works for the Navy, but he's not in the Navy. But he's up in Washington D.C. and his wife is in the Pentagon and all that. So it's interesting sometimes. Like, I mean, he can't really tell us anything, but this like we'll see something on the news and he'll like kind of allude to things, and it's pretty. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I had deployment to Afghanistan in the military, and then I worked there as a contractor. So I've gotten to see some interesting things.
Bet.
But 100% do it all over again. Would never have any doubt with that. So my dad was in the Air Force during Vietnam. Didn't go to Vietnam, but was in just during Vietnam.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he never left Texas.
I mean, lucky.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably good.
Yeah, knowing him, he joined the Air Force at 150 pounds, and they had to make him gain weight in order to have his job that he wanted as a medic. So,
oh wow,
yeah, they're like, you're too damn scrawny. You need to eat something.
Yeah, I gotta bulk up.
Yeah, you can't expect to pick up somebody if you can't, if you don't have the physical size for it. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I've just always been obsessed. I'm trying to basically keep my kids obsessed with space because, I mean, obviously, the longer time goes, the more it's going to go to that. So,
yeah, for sure.
And they already are. They're, after going to that launch, every time I take them out, it's just like their minds are just blown every single time, which is just an awesome thing to see from them.
Yeah. Are they SpaceX fans then?
Yeah, but I've also got them to watch all the other launches, so all they know is it's a rocket, right? They don't necessarily know it's like SpaceX or whatever, but I tell them what it is, but they don't really know the difference yet. But,
it's like, oh
yeah, especially my 4-year-old, he's just like, woo, but that's a good thing, from a young age, they'll be probably the same as me then in regards to that, so nothing wrong with that.
yeah, nice.
They might be the first people to know that it's a normal thing to have people on Mars, so who knows?
Yeah, it would be absolutely wild.
But I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast this evening. Is there anything else that you'd like to speak about before we head off that we can look forward to from you, like any photographs, any site you have?
Like I said, Facebook, it's ZSHAUL Adventures, Zac Shaul Adventures on Instagram is where I post all my stuff. Yeah, I look forward to May 27th. Hopefully I'll have some good stuff up for everyone. So,
I'll be looking forward to it for sure.
Very cool, man. And thank you. Hopefully talk to you soon, and we should meet up and go to lunch one day when all this is over too.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll have to make that happen as soon as, it's generally allowed for everyone to be out. So I'll definitely be there for sure.
Awesome.